The world and the world order is completely and totally changing overnight. And we can't even keep up with it. Not only because of our knowledge and our limits on knowledge, but because it's going so incredibly fast. As I said, speed became something quite different from the days of Jules Verne and for many people who even lived after these days. We live in days where there are unbelievable scientific breakthroughs. We live in days where my grandchildren walk around, I have no idea what it means, with iPods. I'm still waiting when somebody will invent a U-pod. We have seen the collapse of communism. We have seen incredible changes taking place in America and the White House. We have globalization. We have computers. Our whole world has drastically changed. But with speed come accidents. Dangerous accidents. I sometimes get the feeling that today we are living in a world where we are skating on very thin ice. And it is in the speed that we stay on top of the ice. If we would go closer or slower, and we would become more heavy at one particular place, we probably will not survive. So we're nearly flying over that ice. It is true that we survive. But if God forbid, chas v'shalom, anything goes wrong, as we have seen quite often in our days, things become terrible. Things become extremely dangerous. That's what you do, what happens when speed overtakes us. And then we wonder, as we all do, I suppose, that we are not even sure what the destination is. Where are we actually going? We are sitting in this train, and the train goes faster and faster, and it seems that nobody knows anymore if we are going in the right direction. That's the reason why I'm not so sure that the Mashiach is around the corner. I hope I'm mistaken. Because it may quite well be that we are sitting, after all, in the wrong train. And that we're moving in the wrong station or towards the wrong station, and that we should be sitting in the first class and we're sitting actually in the third, fourth or fifth class. And so it is true about our religious leadership. Because sometimes they are far behind the train. At other times they throw themselves in front of the train. And every time again, we pay an enormous price when it comes to the question about the integrity of living a religious life. But it is easy for me to criticize. But it is definitely important to be aware of this. That God at this moment is moving things around in certain ways which is not clear, that's clear to me. That we see some kind of, as we call it in Hebrew, hashgacha peratit, some kind of divine providence entering in our lives, in our world, in this incredible world in which we live today, I have no doubt about. But we live in incredible instability. Speed creates instability. It creates uncertainty. It makes us nervous. There are more people now nervous today than probably our grandparents ever were. With all the luxuries, with all the incredible amount of instruments which we have, with all the possibilities which indeed never appeared to the minds, in the minds of our grandparents and not even in the mind of a Jules Verne. Today, at this hour, we deal with incredible problems concerning financial stability. We have tremendous problems, as you all know at the moment, with the security of the state of Israel. We have an Iran not far away from us. We still are thinking about 9/11. And we know that if, God forbid, a world war will break out, it will probably take, so I'm being told, 3 seconds. Instability, however, creates incredible opportunities. It sometimes is an enormous blessing, while it is dangerous. Because if you get hold of it in the right way, and you see the opportunities, the possibilities, then indeed you are able to make a breakthrough and somehow accomplish and achieve matters which otherwise under normal conditions, with greater amount of security, we will probably never think about and we would never achieve. People living in crisis are forced to think about the impossible. We are living today, no doubt, in post-Jules Verne times. But we are already living in the days of post-Einstein. And we are already probably living in the days of post-Stephen Hawking. We are living already in days which we don't even have identified yet. We do not, and I do not know even what is happening at the moment in the world, and definitely not in the scientific world, which has become incredibly complicated for somebody who's not part of that community. Instability creates crisis, but crisis creates creativity. It presses us to rethink our positions. And we may have to admit that we had it all wrong, because certain revelationary concepts suddenly enter into our world, make us to think completely different. And that's also true, my dear friends, and that's what I want to speak about when we speak about the Jewish world. And when we speak about Yahadut, when we speak about the Jewish tradition. My sense, I cannot prove this, my sense is that we are standing at the horizon at a moment when we will see tremendous changes taking place within the Jewish people, our approach towards the Jewish tradition, and because of that, tremendous great things can happen if we play it correctly. And that's the challenge. Because we are on that ice and we are skating, and if we skate in the wrong direction, we may destroy it. If we skate in the right direction, we may possibly create an unbelievable world of beauty. Let me make some general observations. We as Jews are much, on one side, a nation of history. On the other side, as I argued last night, we are a nation also beyond history. We sometimes have stepped out of history, we Jews, especially when we are living in Galut. Because really, I hope you understand what I mean by that, nothing happened to us in Galut. Obviously, terrible things happened to us. But our situation stayed more or less the same. The great moment when there was a breakthrough was after the Shoah, after the Holocaust, when the State of Israel was established, because that changed indeed totally and radically the situation of the Jewish people throughout the world. But I want to tell you something which I learned from a very great French philosopher, Jewish philosopher, not very known. Most of his works, as far as I know, are not even translated in English. They're only in French and a little bit in Hebrew. He was called Manitou. Manitou was a religious thinker on a level, for those who know what I'm speaking about, of Emmanuel Levinas. A great philosopher, not very much known. And a man who wrote in one of his essays a very interesting thing. He said, we Jews are always speaking about the fact that we are living in exile and that everybody else is living at home. And he said, I challenge that. As far as I'm concerned, he says, everybody else is living in exile and we are living at home. And he made the following argument. He said the reason why they say so is because when I look in the Torah, which is our point of departure, we read over there that from the moment that Cain killed Abel, we are being told that Cain became what we call in Hebrew a na-venat, which means a mover,